The letters arrived every month, small packages of hope, written words sent from a world she could only dream of. Maria had always believed that love was something meant to be found in grand gestures and fairy tale endings. But the reality was that love for someone like her, someone born into poverty, seemed as distant as the stars. She lived in a tiny village where the nights were long and cold, and her family struggled just to make ends meet. For years, Maria had worked hard, helping her mother and father with the farm. But despite her efforts, they never had enough. When the idea of a mail-order bride service reached her, it seemed like a glimmer of hope. She filled out the forms, wrote a letter of her own, and sent it away. She wasn't expecting much, just a chance to escape her life, to find someone who would see her, not for the poverty that clung to her, but for the woman she was beneath it all. She dreamed of a life far from the fields, a life where love could bloom like a flower, untouched by the harshness of her circumstances. She sent off the letter, each word filled with her hopes, each sentence carrying the weight of her dreams. But then came the response. It wasn't the reply she had imagined. The man she had hoped would be her future rejected her, not because of her heart or her spirit, but because of her financial standing. He had made it clear in his letter that she was too poor, that she wasn't the kind of woman he had in mind. The disappointment crushed her. It was, in just the rejection of her. It was the rejection of everything she had worked for. It was as if the dream she had built, brick by brick, had shattered before her eyes. And yet, Maria didn't give up. She felt the sting of it deeply, but pushed it down. She had no other choice but to keep going. The days passed, and Maria's heart slowly began to heal. She worked harder on the farm, trying to focus on the small victories that came with each day's labor. But the dream of a better life, the dream of love, still lingered. It wasn't something she could just throw away. One evening, while tending to the crops, a figure appeared on the horizon. A man riding horseback, dust swirling around him as he approached her. Maria's heart raced. She had never seen him before, yet there was something about him, something that made her heart skip a beat. As the man came closer, Maria saw the calm confidence in his eyes. He was a cowboy, rugged and weathered by the sun, with a look that told of a life spent working the land. His name was Jake, and he was nothing like the men who had come before him in her life. He wasn't interested in her poverty or her struggles. He didn't ask about her past. Instead, he saw her for who she truly was. There was no judgment in his eyes, no hesitation in his voice. It was as if he could see her soul, the depth of who she was, beyond the life she led. Jake didn't offer her promises of riches or a glamorous future. He simply offered her something far more precious: his respect, his kindness, and, most importantly, his love. At first, Maria didn't know how to respond to him. She had been taught to expect nothing, to not reach for something beyond her grasp. But Jake didn't seem to care about the barriers she had built around herself. He didn't judge her for the life she had lived or the circumstances she had been born into. Instead, he offered her something she hadn't even known she needed: acceptance. He showed her that love wasn't about wealth or status. It wasn't about being from the right family or having the right connections. It was about seeing the person in front of you for who they truly were, accepting them with open arms and without hesitation. Jake's presence in Maria's life was a turning point. Every day, they spent time together. At first, it was small moments, helping her with the farm, sitting in the shade of an old oak tree, talking about everything and nothing. But those small moments began to add up. Jake's kindness and understanding chipped away at the walls Maria had built around her heart. She began to open up to him, to share her dreams, her hopes, and her fears. In return, Jake shared his own stories, stories of a life spent on the road, of battles fought, of dreams he had chased but never quite caught. They were two souls connected by a shared understanding of what it meant to work hard and struggle. And through their connection, Maria began to realize that love wasn't about what you had, but about who you were with. But the path to happiness wasn't easy. The world around them still saw Maria for what she had been, a poor girl from a small village with nothing to offer. The whispers of gossip, the judgment from others, were hard to ignore. It was easy to get lost in the negativity, to feel like she didn't deserve the love she had found. But Jake never wavered. He didn't care what anyone else thought. He loved her for who she was, not for what others expected her to be. He saw beauty in her that no one else did, and that gave Maria the strength to keep going. Then, one day, after months of building a life together, Jake turned to Maria with a proposal. Not a proposal of marriage, but a proposal of something far more important. He offered her his heart, his soul, and a promise that no matter what life threw at them, they would face it together. The world might not understand their love, but Jake had already made up his mind. He loved her, not because of what she had or what she lacked, but because she was the woman he wanted by his side. Maria was overwhelmed. For the first time in her life, she felt truly seen, truly loved. The doubts, the insecurities, the feelings of being unworthy, they all melted away in the face of Jake's unwavering love. As the days went on, Maria's life began to change in ways she never could have imagined. With Jake by her side, she no longer felt like an outsider in the world. She had found a love that was strong, steady, and unshakable. The financial struggles, the hardships she had faced, no longer defined her. She had found someone who valued her for who she was, not for the things she could offer. She had found the kind of love that could change a life. And so Maria and Jake built their life together. A life based not on wealth or status, but on love, trust, and mutual respect. They worked side by side, hand in hand, building a future that was far more meaningful than anything money could buy. Maria had found her true miracle, and it wasn't in the form of riches or a grand life. It was in the love of a man who had seen her for who she truly was, and loved her without hesitation.